Hello and welcome all you graphic designers and the graphic design curious. Today we're taking on a fun and useful project. Have you ever made an image that you intend to use at a different size but mistakenly saved a raster version? That is, an image made of pixels that don't scale up or down easily. Well, in this video, we're going to teach you how to vectorize anything using Adobe Illustrator brushes. You'll see how you can take anything from a drawing to a logo and create a scalable version in Adobe Illustrator. Now, we've got two methods that we're going to be exploring in today's video, but before we dive into that, I want to help you get a discount on an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. Just go and check out the notes below the video for information and a link to get a discounted rate on Adobe software, such as this video's program, Illustrator. And with that, let's dive into our first method. Our first method is going to be the Redraw method. And by redraw, I mean trace. Yes, this is a big secret of the process. You see, we're tracing the image.
Hey man, let me ask you something. Somebody draws something and then draw the exact same thing, like right on top of it, without going outside the original designated art. What do you call it? I don't know, man. Tracing? See?
Okay, look, there's nothing wrong with tracing when you have images that you have the rights to or you don't intend to sell. We're learning here, and tracing is a great way to learn, which is what many graphic designers do. Don't let the clip from the 1997 romantic comedy Chasing Amy make you feel weird about it. Anyway, let's move on. Your first step needs to be sourcing an image. You probably already have an image in mind, but if you are doing this to learn, go ahead and find a fun image to work with. For me, we're going to be using this stock photo of some bell peppers. Oh, my favorite vegetable, in the Italian accent. I also picked an image that's pretty easy to trace and something that is quite colorful as well. Now, you'll want to make a new document to work from. While vector images are easily scalable, I prefer to work larger than I probably need to because it makes drawing that much easier. I have a tablet and a stylus that I work with, and I tend to draw with my arm instead of my wrist to avoid pain. So, working bigger is better, at least for my wrist. Or whatever your document size is, be sure it's proportional to the image that you're working with to vectorize. You want to fill as much of the canvas as possible with your chosen image in a 1:1 ratio if possible. Your next step is to simply drag your image to Illustrator. Place it on the canvas and then scale the image to take up as much of your available artboard space as possible. I want big, bold peppers. You want big, bold peppers. Once you have the image sized up on your artboard, we will then prep the image to be traced. We're going to be doing this the way an animator might draw their next frame in their animation. We need to make our source image transparent, and we'll do that by setting our image reference as a template. To set it as a template, we need to go to our Layers palette and then double-click the layer that holds our source image. If you've followed along so far, you probably only have a single layer right now, so, well, that would be it. Double-clicking pulls up the layer options. From there, you'll see an unchecked box labeled Template. Just click it. We need to be able to see the image in enough detail that drawing over it is easy without the visuals beneath our drawing layer being too busy and distracting. And you'll see that it activates another checkbox that reads Dim Images to, and that should be set at 50%. And that should be good for most of us, but look, feel free to adjust that percentage based on what you need. With our newly transparent layer, we're going to need to create a new layer for our drawing. And you can do that on the Layers palette with the New Layer button. Now, here is the fun part. We need to trace our image. Now, this can be done either with a tablet or, if you want to raise your blood pressure to dangerous levels, use a mouse. And this is where you have some flexibility and creativity involved. I went with a rougher brush because I wanted a less uniform, more illustrative appearance. However, this is entirely up to you. Heck, you can even go and create your own brush and use it if you want. But that's a topic for another video, so let me just know in the comments if you want to see it covered. Once you are done tracing your image, you should have a scalable vector image. You can increase the complexity of it as well by using additional layers beneath it to add color and shading to create something a little more three-dimensional. We'll get to that in a bit though. Let's just look at the second option for vectorizing images for now. This is going to be a little easier as it is more or less an automated process. With this method, which we're calling convert to vector, we're not really drawing anything or using any brushes. This is an automated function of Adobe Illustrator that does a fine job of vectorizing images. Your mileage may vary, of course, but we'll talk about that in a second. The first thing we need to do, though, is to figure out what image we're using. So for simplicity's sake, we're going to be continuing to use our bell peppers from earlier. And part of the reason we're using this image again is because it's on a white background. Images of objects on white or transparent backgrounds work quite well for this process. Also, the image is not in a high resolution either, making the tracing process much faster. If you want to use a different image, you'll want an object on a white or transparent background in a raster format, such as a JPEG, GIF, or PNG. With a blank work area open in Adobe Illustrator, we'll open our image file. Once we have that, we're going to need to enable the image trace options, and you can find this by going to Windows in the toolbar and selecting Image Trace. Now, what Image Trace is going to be doing is automatically taking the image and then converting it into a vector. The output varies based on the selections that you've made, however, and there are a lot of options to experiment with, but I just want to give you the rundown on the ones that we use most often. High Fidelity Photo is one of the presets in the Dropbox on the Image Trace menu, and what that does is it generates a vector that is as close to the source images as possible. If you're working with a large image, this can take a while to process, and I generally feel that this looks best. Low Fidelity Photo, also a great option. This one results in a less accurate image, but it maintains the shape and the general number of colors. This might be better for some objects. Another one that works well for some projects is Black and White Logo, and that takes the object and generates a vector. This, of course, works much better for, yes, you guessed it, logos. Similar to this one is Silhouettes, which gives you a simple black and white silhouette of the object. Again, strong choice for logos. Now, yes, I know what you're probably thinking. This seems a bit like cheating. Where is the brush action? I was told that this was an Illustrator brushes video. And to that, my friends, I say, well, you may need to do additional touch-ups. Anything automatically generated runs the risk of having an error. For example, perhaps the automation adds a strange blob of color that you would just prefer not to have, or it renders a line in a pretty strange way. The other thing I want to suggest is that combining the two methods we've seen can create something much better overall. Using a brush to create an artistic line layer while converting the object to a vector image can result in a wonderful combination. And there you have it. We've seen not only how to use Illustrator brushes to make vector versions of a raster image, but we've also seen how we can use Illustrator's automated functions to create usable vector objects. And even better, we've seen that we can combine these methods in interesting ways. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and we hope that you've picked up something new, or at least liked the bell pepper pictures. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel, and consider hitting that notification bell so that you know when we have a new video available. Oh, and keep in mind that if you are looking for a discounted rate on Adobe Illustrator, you should go and check out the notes below the video for more information. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.